This is the beauty that ensues a powerful storm. Calgary had seen some active weather, but really, this is the reward at the end. What a gorgeous rainbow you saw earlier this weekend. Now, well, things are really shaping up, getting a little better for you in Calgary. Not too much active weather in your forecast, maybe a 20% chance of precipitation. Tomorrow, your chance does increase. But for today, we are looking at active weather really right across, especially Saskatchewan, and more so for southerly regions of Manitoba. We are looking at a potential for getting some hail and into Monday as well. And that risk extends into northwestern Ontario for tomorrow. So bracing yourself for that. Now, in the meantime, much of the rest of Ontario, you are looking at a vast risk of non-severe and even severe thunderstorms, especially to the extreme southwestern regions. That's because of that humid air, and also across the east, there's a risk of thunderstorms. We'll continue to watch that story for you coming up. So glad you could make us a part of your day, and I hope you could stick around because we have plenty of interesting weather stories that we're following, and also active weather really is happening across the country. Today, I'll let you know where and when coming up. The weekend, yes, it's here. Hello, I'm Kasia Bodurka. Thank you so much for making us a part of your weekend. Well, I'm sure you're, tuning in because some of you may be seeing some very active weather. We've seen even tornado watches and warnings in Saskatchewan yesterday. Today, also some activity coming to the same parts of the country. Quebec is into it, the Maritimes, well, you're clearing up. But, I'm going to be breaking down this weather story for you across the country very shortly. But first, let's head outside to our Oakville studios right here in southern Ontario. Our very own lovely Nadine is standing by. Nadine, how's it feeling out there? Thank you so much, Nadine. Now come on inside because we do await your long-range forecast. That's coming up very shortly. Meantime, Nadine had talked about a little bit of thunderstorm activity. A little bit, that's a bit of an understatement because some of us are really getting a lot of rain, including the Mont-Tremblant area, Montreal, the eastern townships. A lot of us are into that rainy weather already. But first, before we head a little further east, beautiful, but we have seen a lot of gray weather in that area. Mind you, areas to the west of Gander, it's been quite nice. Avalon, U2 will be clearing up eventually. Still another active day, though, in your cards for today. Meantime, we are still looking at a non-severe potential of thunderstorms right across the Maritimes as well as especially Quebec and up along the mouth of the St. Lawrence. Really, it's hot and humid in these areas as well, and this low-pressure system is making its way east. We're also watching this line of thunderstorms really making their way east also in the Ontario area. In fact, you know what I want to say to the people on the highways? Slow down when it's rainy like this, the poor visibility. And there could be more poor visibility coming to you along the 401 corridor all the way up, extending into Quebec as well. More severe weather could be to the southern regions due to that very hot, humid air mass. We are still watching a lot of active weather also in and around the prairies, off the foothills, northern parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan. And we're going to break that down more for you with Nadine right after this in your long range. One person is dead after flash floods hit the city of Calgary on Friday. The victim was a 60-year-old man. Brian McCasey is with the Calgary Fire Department. Now, more active weather is expected to come to Calgary and, mainly many parts of Alberta and Saskatchewan. I'll break that down for you very shortly. But first, your local forecast is coming up right now every 10 minutes on the 10s. That was your local forecast. Hello, I'm Kasia Bodurka, and you're right on time for what's making weather news. We're going to be talking about what's, making the headlines, but also we'll be breaking down the weather story for you from coast to coast. Now, before we do that, we have some incredible footage for you. We first take you to Ukraine. Now, 35 days in this cage with the lioness, and her name is Kasia, by the way, which is the same name as mine. That's in Ukrainian. Now, I want to first draw your attention to northern Ontario. We had just seen the situation, the wildfire situation. Temperatures are on the rise, unfortunately, not necessarily helping the situation, and that's into the evening hours even. And there is quite a humidex factor in place for many of us in Ontario. Now, because of that humid air mass that we're looking at, that does cause a potential for some thunderstorms and more severe, especially as we head to extreme southwestern Ontario, where the temperatures really are much worse. It's feeling like over 40. In fact, there is a humidex advisory well in place issued by Environment Canada. Now, today there is also a widespread risk of thunderstorms right across the prairies, as you can see, and we are looking at a potential for the most severe weather in southern parts of Manitoba. So you could be seeing that hail that our friends in Saskatchewan had seen yesterday. That's for today, and really this risk pushes east for Monday. So northwestern Ontario, you could be seeing the really active weather come, the early hours of the day Monday. Now, we are looking at the system pushing its way across the prairies, or across the Maritimes rather, as well. So more active weather coming to you in parts of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, where you're already seeing active weather today, and really it's going to be making its way eventually into Newfoundland come late Tuesday. And again, there still is this vast risk of thunderstorms right across many regions of the Maritimes. Quebec, you're into it already. We'll be breaking down that more a little bit sooner within the show. Please stay with us. Severe weather hit southern Saskatchewan Saturday, prompting tornado warnings. Golf ball-sized hail pounded the ground in yellowgrass. Manitoba could be in for some severe weather today. I'll have more details on that coming up. But first, it's time for your local forecast. That comes up every 10 minutes on the 10s. Warnings, they were dropped, but one person did in fact spot a funnel cloud. Nothing did touch down. No reports of injuries or damages, thankfully. But really, that same system bringing active weather to Saskatchewan is moving its way east. I'm going to tell you who's to expect what. We are looking at some thunderstorms right now in and around regions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, even Manitoba is seeing a lot of activity. Now, Environment Canada has actually issued a severe thunderstorm watch for extreme southeastern regions of Saskatchewan. So keeping your eyes and ears out for that, because you could be seeing that same hail that other regions of Saskatchewan had seen yesterday. Now take a look. This is where we're expecting all that hail throughout the Winnipeg area as well. Very strong gusty winds. Now to the Ontario story, we are watching a line of thunderstorms make their way east as well. A lot of us have seen rain, and a lot of us are into very humid weather and more risks of thunderstorms. We have been tracking some powerful weather right across the country over the past weekend. Hello, I'm Kasia Bodurka, and you're right on time for your national forecast. I will also let you know what did happen when it came to that powerful weather we saw in the west, and that's coming up in weather news. Meantime, let's talk about the weather. I'm going to bring you outside to our friend Nadine. Now, earlier today, she didn't have her sunglasses, then she did, and she even brought an umbrella. So it's a strange mixing pot, or a mixed pot rather, of weather conditions we have today. Nadine, what's it like now? Thanks so much, Nadine. Way to tease that long range. Now come back inside and let us know exactly what we can expect for the next few days. That's coming up very shortly. First, like Nadine had mentioned, I'm going to tell you what's going on right now. And right now we are looking at a line of thunderstorms moving their way across Quebec. The more severe weather is in the yellow and the red. Montreal, you're in it. Mont-Tremblant, a lot of us are seeing heavy downpours and strong winds. And really that risk of thunderstorms is really extending all the way through into Nova Scotia as well. PEI, you have a risk of thunderstorms as well. Heavy downpours and strong winds. That's your greatest threat with this. Weather conditions we're experiencing today, and more thunderstorms is a potential for us in southern Ontario. In fact, that's due to all this active weather. Really, it's a disorganized system, and really that very strong humid air mass that we have going on. Nadine had mentioned it's very humid. Well, that can really spark up those thunderstorms that we're talking about, especially in extreme southwestern Ontario, where we are looking at a humidex advisory. It's feeling more like 40 for us. Now we take you to Regina. Really, it's been so stormy. In fact, it even took the life of one individual. We'll let you know about that more coming up throughout the show. show. Meantime, we are watching a number of thunderstorms throughout many parts of the prairies, and you're likely to see some active weather in Manitoba. Now more with Nadine in your long range. Cold water did not stop a 17-year-old girl to swim across Lake Ontario. What an amazing young lady. Okay, we continue to follow the stories that are making weather news headlines. Meantime, your local forecast is coming up right now. Typhoon Moifa hammered parts of China Saturday. Moifa skimmed the eastern coast with high winds blasting Beijing. Ports were closed and thousands of ships were called into harbor. People have been warned to expect damaging winds and heavy rains. Moifa is the most powerful typhoon to hit China since 2005. Now more on this coming up later in the show, and your local forecast is now. The continuance of this exact system pushing its way really throughout the prairies, but it's a very slow-moving system. So, you know, that's where you get the heavy downpours, and right now the majority of that activity is taking place in and around northern Alberta, around the border of Alberta and Saskatchewan. In fact, that's where the low pressure is right now hovering. Also, it's wrapping around, so a lot of disorganized activity is going on. In fact, Environment Canada has issued a severe thunderstorm watch for many parts of northeastern Saskatchewan. However, this just came in. A meteorologist came to speak to me. Brandon is now included in this watch too. Dauphin is included as well. So keeping your eyes open for this situation, because really your greatest threat would be hail and severely strong winds. Now, if you're seeing any of this active weather, we'd love to hear about it. Actually, call our storm line. It's a toll-free number, 1-800-463-WIND. As well, feel free to upload your weather photos and your videos of the weather in your backyard to theweathernetwork.com. You can reach us on Facebook as well. Let us know what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what it's like. Because, of course, we can show you on the radar, on the satellite. We can see as the systems pass through, but you actually bring it to life, so we love that. Okay, now we are watching this vast risk. It's really existing throughout the entire day. And again, our most severe areas are to the south of Saskatchewan, to the south of Manitoba as well. Now in Ontario, we are watching a number of disorganized storms passing through the area as well. There is something approaching the southern Great Lakes Basin as well. And again, the yellow, the red on the map, that's showing more severe, more intense amounts of rain. So you can see some of us are being pounded down by heavy downpours. And we are also looking at a humidex advisory for southern, extreme southwestern Ontario. It's feeling like over 40 for a lot of us in the Windsor area, Sarnia. And because of that, you have an increased risk of thunderstorm activity all the way throughout Ontario up into Quebec. Now stick with us, more to come throughout the show.